Adversity makes men, prosperity makes monsters. Victor Hugo. Prosperity doth best discover vices, but adversity doth best discover virtues. Francis Bacon. I read those a long time ago, and when I thought of them, I'd always say, with adversity comes virtues, with prosperity comes vices. Now, I thought of that recently because today's Friday, September 7th. My name is John Rose, and I'm here in Houston, Texas. It's been 2 weeks now since Hurricane Harvey has come through and devastated our city. And of course, you can't help but think about how disasters bring out the best in people, and sometimes even the worst. Now, why is that? Why do disasters bring out the best in people? And why the worst? I'm convinced it's all because of what's called a biophoton. That's the sunlight energy that we store in the nucleus of our cells. And it's how our cells communicate. If you watched any one of my other videos, you know I talk about this all the time, because the fall of mankind destroyed those. And that's just one of the many things the fall of mankind did. In fact, we could even throw the whole biophoton concept out the window, and it still is a good enough reason not to make that mistake. But this is the best reason in my mind, is because this is what makes us feel one with all of us. And it's why we still have some sort of humanity still left in us. According to Dr. Fritz Albert Popp, who coined the word biophoton back in 1976, they invented an instrument in 74, so he's been studying this well over 4 decades. And he found that the more biophotons any living system had, the healthier they were, and that we humans were born around 43,000. A junk food eater could be around 1 to 23,000. An organic vegan is around 23,000. Or 83,000. A raw organic vegan is around 83,000. A solid food vacation bumps it up to 114,000. So the key here is we're born at 43, we should go up to around 83. Most of us are down 1 to 23,000. So we still have some left in us. So when we have a disaster, we know deep down we're supposed to help one another. We feel their pain more than ever, especially if it's our neighbor and they just went through the same thing. We can really relate to their suffering in a way that we never could before. Just like how certain cities have football teams or sporting teams, baseball, whatever, and you root for your team, and it's like if they win, you're feeling great. If they lose, you feel bad. But now you're on a team. So in a way, when a disaster falls upon somebody, a city, a community, they become that team, and we stick together. And isn't it a shame that it takes a disaster to bring this goodness out in us? And I can't help but reflect what this world would be like if all of us had adequate levels of biophotons. If we all had around 83,000 biophotons, it would change our mentality. We wouldn't have this exchange mentality where we even have money. We'd be going around making this place beautiful all the time like we do now. In a disaster, we know what to do. You see it right now going on today. I filmed footage going through neighborhoods where people were coming together. You couldn't even go down some of the streets. The streets were lined with cars, family and friends there to help finally get to their house and clean it up and get all that damaged garbage out of their house. And we know what to do. And we would do this all the time. This is what makes me so passionate, is once you bump up your biophotons, once you understand this connectedness to things, you can't help but realize or fantasize what it'd be like if everyone felt this way. Because I already know how it's changed my life. I know that there's really only one way I can make my life better, and that is to help make the world better, help make everyone around me better, help make them the best that they can be, simply by bumping up those biophotons so they can get reconnected. And then realize, my God, if I'm one with everything, there's only one way I can make my life better. I got to make everything around me better. And that's the mentality we would have. It'd be like a disaster mode that we only see now because it's a disaster. But we need to put things in perspective. And I should have pushed the pencil to this. I can't remember. It's been so long. But it's been used before to illustrate that we do have a disaster. If you look at how many people die every day of heart disease or cancer, and then figure out how many planes that would be crashing, because look what happens when one plane crashes with so many people that were on board. And then when you think about how many people are dying of starvation today, 40,000 children, how many planes are crashing that way? The problem we have is we are in a disaster zone. Our house is on fire, but we don't realize it. And a lot of us don't want to entertain the idea because we don't know how to put out the fire. We feel helpless. And that's understandable, because that's one of the worst emotions anyone can have, is helplessness. It's why people are afraid of it, and it's why most people won't entertain the idea that they should change their diet, and that some governments, agencies, whatever, aren't looking out for our best interest. And that's because there's something wrong with us. That's why we have to change collectively. And I know this is a confusing issue, because you haven't thought it out, perhaps, as I have. And I've explained this before, how there's two levels of biophotons. One's on an individual level, one's on a collective level. So I coined that condition hypoheliosis, an abnormally low biophoton level. And there's hypoheliosis A on an individual level and hypoheliosis B on a collective level. And the thing is we can individually get reconnected and bump up our biophotons. But then the species we're connected to more than anything else on this planet are still disconnected. So there's still a disconnect. Sure, we really feel great around our trees. Man, I get off the trees big time because they're vibrating at the right frequency. Humans, it's really sad, they're not. So that explains certain types of behavior. It explains why some people can have a high biophoton level individually and still not know how to behave, because they're still damaged, and then society itself is damaged. That's why I emphasize so many times in my videos that the tipping point is so crucial to this message. That if we don't make it to that number, if we don't reach the 100th monkey, then things are just never going to change. And we'll only see minimal results in our own little life. We can try to create our own little pockets of paradise, but this whole planet should be paradise. And then when you look at the possibility of certain natural events being manipulated, as we know the capability exists, and why would they do it? It's obvious. The people who rule the world are psychopaths, and they swim in chaos. But when you consider that, you think, well, how can I do anything about geoengineering? How can I do anything about HAARP or chemtrails or eugenics? What can I do? What can you do? Can you do anything? Of course. In fact, never underestimate the power of the individual, a small group of people, to change the world, because that's the only thing that is going to change the world. We already know that that there's only a small group that's going to be part of the trim tabs, the first wave of heroes, to make this happen. And it eventually means all of us have to do it. No man is an island. The individual cannot escape the collective. There's no such thing as escaping Plato's cave as long as everyone else is down in that cave. So it's important to understand, and I know I've said this enough times, but it's worth repeating. Each and every one of us are either playing a role at keeping us where we are, or playing a role in getting us out of this hell that we've created. So that when we have natural disasters, we won't be doing anything that we're not already doing anyway. Because we're already making the world the best place it can be. We're already helping each other out. You don't have to rely on a disaster to be able to get kindness from strangers. But that's what you see at a time like this. It's quite heartwarming to bike around this great big city that I live in and see how people are responding to one another, and how it does bring the good out in most people. Now, sure, you're going to have people who are opportunists, people who are down on their luck and they don't have a way of making money, or they're poor, or they just grew up with bad values. Who knows their whole history? And of course, we can't blame circumstances, right? But you can't ignore them either, because society does indeed attack early when we're helpless. We're taught to make the same dietary mistakes as our parents. And then if you grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, as they used to say, then you'll be taught a few things that you're not going to learn on the other side of the tracks. And if you get down on your luck, how do you feed your children? Well, we shouldn't have to worry about that. A lot of crime has to do with because of our subsequent need for money. That's why when you look at the big picture and you put things in perspective, you realize how important it is to correct the fall of mankind. The biggest problem that we have when it comes to this is that most people think it was an event that happened long ago and that's it, not realizing it's an event that takes place every day right now. And that's why you play a role. So when you can come to that realization and wake up and play your role, get us to the tipping point, we will be in for a treat.